Welcome back to the effects portion of the After Effects Basic Training Series. Before I move on, I'm going to...
How many of you guys have seen a movie, all right, a visual effect, a motion design, graphics, and thought to yourself, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to do something that incredible. When I was about 7 or 8, and I think this picture is around that time, I still have like baby teeth. Wow. Mickey Mouse in the house. It's probably like a knockoff shirt, actually. You know, there's something I remember very distinctly is my dad was a freelance writer for a sports fishing magazine. And he brought home one day an Apple computer. Something like that. I'm sure some of you have seen older ones. Some of you don't even know what that is. That's okay. And it was in the house, and and my dad let me play on it. I'm getting on there. There's like HyperCard Stack. I think there's like an early Quark design program. And I'm just getting on, opening settings, sound recorder. I'm like just playing with all, and I think it was just black and white. Like it was not even gradients in the pixels. And one of the things I remember like very distinctly was a video playing of a lion inside of HyperCard Stack. I played it. And think about all of the computer power it had to do to like create all the grayscale values in that video. And I was like looking at the pixels and the pattern, and I just thought it was the greatest thing. And HyperCard, by the way, if you don't know, is a program, it's kind of like Director or Flash. It's like PowerPoint, if you will. It has buttons. You can like go from one page to another page. So I remember making like, I guess little websites where I have the video of the lion. It would say, hey, do you like lions? Yes or no. And you could say, yes. And I'm like, yeah, me too, it would say on the page. Or you say no, and why not? So anyway, I just loved playing on this thing. I would get on it, open up all the programs. I had files and documents. Like I had a folder with my name on it, with my stuff on it. One day, wake up, and the computer is gone. And my dad lost his job, and the computer went back, and I didn't have that computer. I was like, maybe I wasn't sensitive about the fact that my dad lost his job, but maybe I didn't fully understand that the computer was gone. And, for a 7-year-old or 8-year-old, I guess at that time, it was somewhat devastating. And I was thinking, gosh, it was so fun to explore. It was so fun to play on that. I didn't feel like I got through all of the programs. And that feeling of not being able to, to learn and to explore, was just, it was odd. It was odd. And it wasn't until about maybe it was like 5 years later, that the house we were living in at the time had this massive, major, like, construction defect. My mom told me that there's this, like, lawsuit, and there's this settlement thing, and depending on how bad it is, maybe if there's any leftover money from the repairs, we can get a computer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope this house is so screwed up. And lucky for me, it was. So my parents got like a check for like $7,000, $8,000, and most of that went to some repairs and some modifications. And after going through like a million Circuit City ads, I found a computer, and we got it. And I remember just like, it was the greatest feeling, and I felt like this is an opportunity to be able to get on here and to create and to be creative. And my parents, they were so supportive of me. And this is an opportunity to be in art and create and do this for a living. So there's absolutely no reason that we shouldn't be in this 100%. It's amazing. I love what I do, and I hope you guys do. Okay, let me explain. First of all, you see that cross dissolve at the end with the kids? Faded out, not bad. Okay, here's the thing, all right? You think that's bad, all right? Some of those companies hired me to make those videos.
I'm Andrew Kramer, and I'm the founder of a company called Copilot, and we do software and tools for video professionals. One of the things I've noticed is how motion graphics and visual effects have really become a singular thing. Like before, motion graphics were more abstract. It was sort of titles coming in, two-dimensional things, and people would push the limits, make it 3D, but we weren't really approaching that sort of photorealism. And then visual effects was, charging forward in the photorealistic world where 3D models and shadows and like building things into actual camera shots. And then what you start seeing is that transition over where motion graphics has become, almost photorealistic in a way. Motion graphics, you have to have 3D, you have to have, integration into, the real world, like with Camera Tracker, where you track the scene, you put the 3D objects in the world so that your motion graphics actually come alive in the real world. So having a tool like After Effects, you can do both of those things, from crossing over to doing visual effects, coming all the way back over to doing motion graphics, and using those same tool sets. So you're using the Camera Tracker for motion graphics, and you're using some of the motion graphics tools for visual effects. So it's just a great way to, it's just great to have all of those tools in the same program.
Not too long ago, I got to tell you about something. My wife got pregnant. Oh, thank you. And we're actually going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary in May, if you can believe that. So that'd be good, presumably in May. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And also, you notice the stock photo walk here. It's a classic. By the way, we're doing. We hired a stock photographer to come just take our maternity pictures, save money, and look, now we're making some money. Adobe stock, it's great. You can pay me afterwards, Adobe. All right. Oh yeah, what was I talking about, right? What happens after you get pregnant? Well, of all the time I spent working on films and just like sleepless, crazy nights, and believe me, I loved it, and I still do. But, with Jason here, I just realized that, maybe there's more to life, and maybe there's more important things, At least that's what I thought until I got a chance to work on Star Wars. Right. So let's, all right.
Got started in visual effects probably in high school because I think The Matrix came out. I wanted to be able to create these cool visual effects. I think guys running on the wall. The sort of filmmaking side of me in high school wanted to make my films better. And visual effects seemed like a cool way to make things more interesting. And I always wanted to be a visual effects compositor. I always loved seeing the before and after of a shot and how it was enhanced or improved and changed, and I just blew my mind. I just loved that idea. Started my company in about 2005, and I simultaneously did visual effects work, motion graphics work, it all was just fascinated me, so I tried to do as much of it as I could. As I was learning the software and I was figuring it out, one of the things I started doing was creating video tutorials. And in the beginning, I was trying to sound like a professional, and it was just way easier just to relax and just be myself and maybe make a joke here and there. And from there, the response to just sort of the more fun style of learning really exploded on Video Copilot. And we just started doing more content, and that led to more professional projects. Like J.J. Abrams actually visited my website and reached out, sent an email, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, is this really J.J.?
I'm going to talk about prioritizing time. I've got a family. I think I started Video Copilot a little bit before I got married, actually. And so, we've kind of been growing a little bit. And, I was thinking about prioritizing time. And, that's a big thing. I work at Bad Robot. We work on movies. That's hectic, as some of you guys may know. I run Video Copilot. So we're doing products, we're doing tutorials, software, replying to comments. And, one of the thing that, I want to admit is that when I first started Video Copilot, I didn't make my family a big a priority as I should have. And it's easy to let that kind of thing happen if you don't figure out what your priorities are. What is the things that are most important to you? Obviously design is, and that's of course. But in my case, my family was really important to me, and I didn't think about that at the time because I thought, what's most important? I need to work as hard as I can, staying up hours and hours, staying up all night. I thought, if I'm building my business, if I'm growing this, I can create a successful life for our family. And it wasn't, and our daughter was born, and I didn't realize that just wasn't the right decision. And luckily I realized it early enough to where I've made it a priority in my life now, and I get to hang out with my beautiful family, and this is Katie, our oldest, and then Josh is somewhere inside of the, on the left there. And it's good too. I take my wife, we go on dates, go to the movies. We go see what I want to see, of course. I say, honey, sorry, your movie's sold out, And she's like, you don't even know what the name of my movie is. I'm like, I gotta go to work, all right? Not doing it. So it's I'm not allowed to do the family portrait anymore, so unfortunately.
I think one of the new features, the key cleaning tools, are very cool. I use Key Light a lot for my tracking, and I even have a few tutorials where I go into some very strange workarounds in order to clean up the edges around green halos and things like that. So the new key cleaning tools make all that obsolete. Like, you don't even have to go through that process. I think there's a preset now that has all of those options already ready to go. So if you use Key Light, it's perfect for those more extreme cases. And I think we're all doing a lot more green screen work these days, and so it's great to have a tool set that allows you to solve those kind of tricky problems.
Star Wars, all right? This is like the movie that inspired me. I didn't even know what a visual effect was. It was just, wow, this movie is amazing. Look at all this cool stuff that's going on. And other movies that kind of inspired me. And the point is, you have to find your inspiration wherever you can find it. And it's classic, let's be honest. But it got me into visual effects. It got me into movies. And one of the first projects I ever worked on was a lightsaber project. Maybe some of you guys started a lightsaber video. Anybody? Thought you're going to leave me hanging. That's great. In fact, I remember the first thing I did was in Photoshop, and I didn't even know how to use Photoshop. But I could draw a line. So I somehow managed to get a video clip into Premiere, and it was like 30 frames per second, right? No big deal, right? A couple seconds, that's like 1,000,000 frames. So, calculator. And so I'm drawing a line on each one of these frames, making an animation, and let me just tell you, I never want to do that again. And that's why I became an After Effects artist instead of a Photoshop artist. The point is, finding one thing that you can do, and even if you don't know a program entirely, it's like get in there and just start doing one thing, and that's kind of what I did. Now, very recently, I had a chance to work on Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and as a huge fan, I'm still kind of blown away that I had an opportunity to work on this film. And when you're getting the chance to do this, you have to think, well, I sure hope I don't screw this up. So let me show you the work that we did on Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and then we can talk about how we created it, some of the challenges, and some of the cool tips and tricks. You guys ready? All right.
Star Trek, and then recently Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So it wasn't the way I had planned to get into the industry, but making those videos just really helped kind of show people the kinds of things that I can do, and that sort of just led to more professional gigs. As a digital artist, making your own software is like a dream because you get to design the features that you know you need. And so we design software specifically for the challenges that we run into every day. I think the most challenging thing that I do is always trying to push it to the next level. And we've had a lot of great success, and we always try to find innovative new ways to create things. And particularly in our field in After Effects, we always kind of take this philosophy of let's see if we can create it 100% in After Effects. No plugins, just use the built-in tools. And that's always a fun challenge because everybody is kind of aware of the tools, right? The game is set, and now what can we do with those tools? So one of my favorite effects is the fractal noise effect. And I use this effect all the time to create energy effects, to create force fields. And one of the cool new features of After Effects is that it's GPU accelerated. So when I use 20 or 30 instances of the fractal noise effect, it's way faster, and you can really experiment with different things. Another one of the cool features is the Essential Graphics panel. And I know that I'll be working on a project that has expressions and things, and I don't even know what's going on. The next time I open that project, it's what happened here. And so to be able to map certain things that give you control over the specific aesthetic of the design and be able to quickly make changes that are easy to remember, like when you open that project up, a few months later when you're bouncing around between 10 different projects. And of course, if you share that project with another artist, they'll be able to go in and make specific creative changes without having to try to figure out what madness you were up to. I learned on After Effects, I learned in Premiere, and I think through all of the years I've been working with After Effects is they've continued to improve the software, where people, they listen to the community, people said, hey, it'd be great if we could have this feature, or hey, this is the new thing, and the developers would always listen, and we would come out with new tools and things that people could use, and that just keeps you in the software because it's constantly evolving. It's getting better just as you're getting better, and those tools become available to you, as time goes by. I think the most rewarding thing is like when I come to a show and I get a chance to interact with some of the people who have been coming to Video Copilot for many years. And sometimes they'll say, hey, Andrew, I have a career, I have a job because of your tutorials. But I'm always excited for them. Like, I'm proud of them that they took the time to actually apply the information that they learned. It's one thing to watch a 30-minute tutorial, but it's the next 10 hours you spend playing around with the idea. And so anybody who is that dedicated and willing to take the information and put it into action, that's the greatest feeling, because that person has taken that information and done the best possible thing with it.